cycle connection we're going to be talking about today. I'm Dr. James P. Wickstrom of the Doctorate of Letters. P.O. Box 308, Linwood, Michigan 48634, U.S. of A. My website is www.jameswickstrom.com. You can go there. I'm live on radio Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just click on the blue widget box on the site. You can hear me live. It is Saturday, January 16, 2010. In the Friar Fenton version of what you call your parchments or scriptures, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 52, verse 6, Yahweh is writing through the divine inspiration, or Isaiah is writing through the divine inspiration of the Holy Spirit of Yahweh, for Yahweh. Yet my race, now this is very important, yet my race shall acknowledge my power on the day when I come, and they shall exclaim, here I am. Now you'll notice they didn't say, yet my race shall acknowledge my power, or yet my religion, or yet my politics. All right? My race, the lost sheep of the house of Jacob, who is surnamed Israel. So this is extremely important, and the reason that I put this in front of this dissertation and sermon, I want you to put what Isaiah in chapter 52:6 has stated behind your right ear today, because this is a prelude of going into some deep topic today that I believe Yahweh wants revealed. For the Father said in the end time, everything that is hidden shall be revealed. Is this correct? And there's everything is for you to know and to understand. Is it written? Yes. It is written. All right? Next, please. Now, we talked about Oanes when we went into the dissertation of the ancient cuneiform of Mesopotamia, also the land of Sumer, where the Assyrian and Babylonian kingdoms were years ago, through the what we classified as the cuneiform tablets of the great Assyrian library, which brought forth the inscriptions and the knowledge of a racial group of beings who lived in the sea and had characteristics of fish and men together, and that they came from the heavens, and they stayed underwater, and they would not eat the substance of the people who lived on the land. All right? The Oanes people. Next, please. We also, in our dissertation of the Dropa people, in an area called Communist China today, we talked about these interesting people because in 1995, a remarkable Chinese news report related the discovery of a tribe of 120 people of previously unclassified ethnology in the province of Shetland, which lies on the eastern border of the barren Karaula Mountains. And the most important aspect of this new tribe was the size of its people. They were no taller than 3 foot 10 inches, and the smallest adult measured only 2 feet 1 inches tall, which would be approximately, if we were measuring from here, would be about right here, was a grown adult. Now, you've never seen anything that small in a circus. Right. But here's a very interesting situation, that when testing their DNA, they found that their DNA did not match any other two-legged species of humanoid on the earth. Next, please. And thus, when they investigated them more, they found out that they had discs of knowledge which contain cobalt. Now, a cobalt is an atomic or a nuclear structured element, all right, which it takes a lot of defining, refining to bring forth cobalt. And on these discs of knowledge, of course, they talked about their starcraft had crashed long, long, long time ago, but they had also been previously visiting the Earth approximately 26,000 years ago, but their starcraft crashed approximately 1,800 years ago therein in the mountains, and the 120 people that were left were the last remnants of this alien race, this heavenly alien race on the Earth. Since that time, the entire scientific community of Russia and Communist China has come to the finally affirmation that this is true. But this knowledge has been blanked out of our universities and our educational institutions in the United States of America. These are copies of the discs of knowledge of the cobalt that they had. It looks like a big CD, by the way, or a DVD, and it's ironic because there's a pattern here of knowledge. This was engraved with a code that took over 10 years to break in telling the story of what happened to them. And as ironic as this disc is, with the big hole in the middle, the knowledge starts from the inside and works its way around, just like your CD and DVD does in your machine today. Next, please. And then we had a story that we went into entitled The Dashkin Stone, which is artificially made. It's a third-dimensional map that was made, of which has been x-rayed. It has been tested with every type of machine for age on this Earth, and they have estimated the age of this third-dimensional artificial map, which was produced from a minimum of 120 million years ago to 500 million years ago. Now, this is a very important piece of information that I want you to keep behind your left ear now. 120 million to 500 million years old. All right? Next, please. Again, we'll show another presentation of this artificially made third-dimensional map. And if I may inject, even up to the year now of the 16th of January, 2010, there has not ever been a third-dimensional map produced yet in this Earth by people living on this Earth, okay? Now we'll take a bigger look at the map, and you'll see here that there's lines that have been cut by precision machines on here by an extremely intelligent civilization. And there was also along the sides of the map, there was an index code of which yet after 10 years has not been broken, of an alien language very unknown anywhere else that's ever been discovered on the Earth. Next, please. Now, the reason that I brought this up is because as we go into our lecture sermon today, I'm setting a foundation here, a platform for you before we get into our topic information today. And as it goes into the slab of the physicist who discovered this, that the longer the slab was studied, the more mysteries appeared. On the map, a giant irrigation system could be seen. In addition to the rivers, there are two 500-meter-wide channel systems, 12 dams, 300 to 500 meters wide, approximately 10 kilometers long, and 3 kilometers deep each. The dams most likely helped in turning water in either side, while to create them over 1 quadrillion cubic meters of earth was shifted. That's a lot of moving of earth to create what is on this map. This is in the Ural Mountains. In comparison with that irrigation system, Volga-Don Channel looks like a scratch on today's relief. And as a physicist, Alexander Churro supports that now mankind can build only a small part of what is pictured on the map. So it had to be a tremendously advanced civilization to do this. Now, up just a minute, little please. I have a italics on the right there I'm looking for. The age of one of the Navascapana mutus of here we go, Gyridae family is about 500 million years old. In other words, they took and they examined the stone, and two shells were found on the surface, these two shells, about 500 million years old, while the second one, spell it if you want or pronounce it, I couldn't, you know what I'm saying, a subfamily of the shells is about 120 million years old. Namely, that age was accepted as the working vision of this artificially made three-layer third-dimensional map. So they took the 120 million years, the earliest year, but yet at the same time there were shells on the man-made map, the Dashkin stone map, which also had a life of 500 million years old. Next, please. Also, it's very interesting, as they continue to go on, Professor Shuroff, a physicist, stated the map we have is beyond of traditional perception of mankind. I want you to think about that now. And we need a long time to get used to it. We have got used to our miracle. Up, please. Now, materials of the Wickstrom find were already investigated in the Center of Historical Cartography in Wisconsin, the United States. The Americans were amazed. Well, you see, this is 10 years ago. This information, all right, and the materials was sent to Wisconsin. The Americans were amazed. According to them, such a third-dimensional map could have only one destination, a navigational one, while it could be worked out through an aerospace survey. It's very important. Moreover, namely now in the United States, work is being carried out at creation of a world third-dimensional map like that, though the Americans intend to complete the work only in 2010. So, next please. So you see what we have here is that we have a tremendous piece of physical scientific evidence, not supposition or theory, that has been presented, and people of the earth have. It has not only been recognized in fact to this in White Russia by their physicists and mathematicians and all of their scientists, but also Communist China and all of their science museums of science, as well in the United States of America. Now, again, I want to reiterate this. This is 10-year-old material. Why is this not being taught in our universities and our schools to the people? For the simple reason, because it will upset the controlling factor of the masses, keeping them in the box and under control through superstition called religion.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. This is the situation. Now, here's a really up close shot that I put of the different runoffs of water and the huge dams and the river on this third-dimensional artificial man-made map. Next, please. And of course, here you're going to see now of how they inlaid it and compared it. This is in the Ural Mountains, all right? This is a topographical shot of the foliage and everything else. And here is the map itself as it's following the entire situation in the Ural Mountains today. This is the map then, a minimum of 120 million years ago on that portion of the Earth's surface. This is undeniable. And not even religion can poo-poo it away. So you see, religion is in the box. Because all these things Yahweh is bringing out. Because everyone is going to know the name of Yahweh.
That's right.
Whether they like it or not. And they are going to call upon the name of Yahweh if they are going to be saved in any way. I told you that late in 2008, the sun has entered into a new age or a new sign. We'll be getting a little more into that in our study today. And it is the sign of the destruction of Esau Edom. It is the sign of the destruction of the political and religious control over the minds of the people of the world, and Yahweh will come forth, and he is going to be presented himself. Again, also, I want to reiterate this to you and take into consideration. You can put this also, find some room behind your right ear. In the Amazon jungle, both of these skulls were found together in the Sierra do Machado area of the Amazon. Archaeologists have said they are from two unknown races. They have never ever found skulls like this that they can match to any other species of people as recorded on the earth. Now, this is very interesting, and we praise the name of Yahweh. Would you just raise that just a little, please? The one on the left here, you'll notice this skull has two fangs coming down off its, almost like a draconian skull, all right? This skull here, they can't match to Mongolian, Asian. They cannot match it to Negroid, or they cannot match it to Caucasoid, or what you call a Caucasian white Nordic race. Now, I want you to remember that they still have not placed these skulls with any species that they have recorded on this earth over the element of time. This is very important, because these are alien species, again, that we're talking about. Not just the Dropa people, not just Oannes and the fishmen. We're talking about two more alien species that cannot be connected to anybody or anything. Next, please. And of course, as we take a look at the top three here, these are the three major races that they call. Here is the white race, the Caucasian race. We'll call them the Nordic race. We'll call them the Celtic race, all right? Here on the left. This is the Negroid race, a skull of the Negroid race. But check the jaw. Check the jaws and the teeth here. You see the great difference? And here's the Mongolian Asiatic race. Look at their comparison compared to the Negroid, compared to the white race. And yet people say that everyone came from Adam and Eve. Well, Adam and Eve must have had a terrible facial structure. Now, here's the frontal look of all three. Here again is the Caucasoid, what we call the Nordic, white-raced people, Yahweh's people. Look at the teeth. Look at the nose. Look at the eye sockets. Look at the skull. Here is the Negroid, all right? Here's who Jonah talked about in the writings of Jonah, not over that the flood was on the other side of the earth, but that there were beasts with hands and feet that wore clothes, all right? Here we have a picture of one, and here we have a picture of another. This is the black race. Take a look at it compared to the white race. And here is the Mongolian Asiatic skull. And how interesting it is that the foolishness and the vast error of control religion wants you to believe that we all came from one common mother and father called Adam and Eve.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't so insulting, it would be funny. Next, please. Oh, by the way, these pictures were taken at the Museum of Man in San Diego, California on the second month of 2001. You can go down to San Diego, go to the museum and see these, all right? Next, please. Now, this is very interesting because our Father Yahweh works in sevens with His people, and He works in sevens with the element of time. For example, on the 7th year, you're supposed to rest. Is this correct? 7 years of rest. You work 6 years. On the 7th year, you're to rest the whole year. Yahweh said, I will give you double portions of your harvest and everything else. Is this correct? And you are to allow your body to rest. Wouldn't it be nice on every 7th year you could rest for a whole year? Didn't have to worry about hardship of working. Let your body rejuvenate. Travel with your family. Just enjoy yourself immensely. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Well, that's the way it's supposed to be for the white race under the law of Yahweh. Not everybody else, see. This is only to the lost sheep of the house of Jacob, who is surnamed Israel. And also on the 7 years, every 7 years, you get new cells. Your body gets all new cells. Now, you know, you ladies out here who clean your house and dust your house, you know, the vast majority of your dust is skin, is dead skin. As your body is remaking cells, because every 7 years you have all new cells in your body. Isn't that something? Now, also on the 7th year the land was to rest. And why was that? Well, it was to rejuvenate itself, to re-energize itself. And you were just to plow it under, and it was just to what? Rejuvenate it, right? Is this correct? Yep. Just like we as a people are to be rejuvenated by what? Not working on the 7th year. Yahweh is perfect in His ways. And you know, and the Father said something else that's non-changeable. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever.
That's right.
And as I have decreed these things, it will come to pass.
So be it.
Now, and then every 7th year on the feast days, all the law is to be read to Jacob Israel, or to the white race, to remind them of who they are as a people. And all the law is to be read on the 7th year at the feast days for this reason. Say we have little babies that are born, okay, and at the feast day the law is being read, and they're born that year. Well, come 7 years later, they're 7 years old now, and they're starting to understand and listen, and they're being taught, and the law is read to them even though they're 7 years old. And then 7 years later, now they're 14 years old, and the whole law is being read to them. And then they're 21 years old, and the whole law is being read to them. Then they're 28 years old, and the law is being read to them. Not, of course, omitting the 1st through the 6th year, that the law is presented and taught by the teacher priests of Yahweh on the earth, so that people would never forget who they were, who Yahweh is, and what His law is. Did not the Father say that the heavens and earth could pass away, but His law would be forever? Is it written?
Yeah, right.
Of course it's written. There. Then, on the 7th year is a Jubilee. For those of you who don't have the book of Jubilee, it should be in your library. Remember, Aramaic Hebrew is not only descriptive, it's numerical. And this is why the book of Jubilee is titled the book of Jubilee, because it's written from the aspects of the 7 years of Jubilee in history. And then you have 7 times 7 years is known as a golden jubilee by Yahweh to His people. See, all these things belong to the white European people of the DNA structure of true Jacob Israel, of Yahweh's sons and daughters. Nothing to do with religion. You don't see religion getting up and say, okay, now everybody out there, you got to let the land rest, because Yahweh, the Almighty Father, commands it. Oh, and not only that, every 7 years you're going to rest out there, see? And rejuvenate your bodies. Oh, no, they don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. These 501c3 tax-exempt, government-controlled and orchestrated churches. Oh, you got to get to work. You got to pay them taxes. You got to pay for those undeclared wars and send your sons and daughters to die for these Jews, okay? For these John 8:44s. See, religion is in the box. Those who know Yahweh and who we are as a people are out of that box. And there's more people coming out of that box all the time. All the time. Next, please. The Genesis cycles of time. In order to understand the first chapter in the historical book of Genesis, and by the way, you will not find this word in the Strong's Concordance. It is the beginning of life. In order to understand the first chapter in the historical book of Genesis, and the days so mentioned, one must understand the Genesis cycles, as was taught in the great schools of learning in Heliopolis, Egypt. These great cycles relate to both human and planetary evolution, called the Genesis cycles. When we accomplish this understanding, we will compare or introduce for comparison the sacred cycles of the Hindu Shemite teachers, who were the descendants of Shem via Nahor, the brother of Abraham. They lived east of the Euphrates, by the way, east of the Euphrates River. Many of Jacob's sons went east of the Euphrates River to find purebred wives for them to marry when they were in the land of Canaan. Okay? Now we will discuss and show their striking relationships to well-known facts of geological research that has been presented in recent lecture teachings. Now the Most Holy One Yahweh, of Ancient of Times, who the majority of the masses on the earth refer to as Mother Nature, has furnished those who he chooses with the means of mentally reaching his mysteries in the dual form of intuition, which is spirit energy. This is what's really lacking out among the people today, is the intuition or the spirit energy. I mean, the other senses they have the sense of smell, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, the sense of feeling, okay? But they have no intuition. They're like walking around dead spiritually because of controlled religion. They don't have the intuition. And intellect, which is matter, consisting of fire, water, earth, and air, and the means of measuring his mighty forces in the forms of time and space known as the Genesis cycles. Now, if you do not know or understand what these Genesis cycles consist of, then you will never come close to fully understanding the first chapter of the book called Genesis in your Bible. And lastly, to show how these natural periods of actions and reactions of the cosmic life forces have formed the truthful foundation upon which our racial, astrological, and earthly teachers have elaborated their planetary period of many Genesises and subcycles of celestial influence over nations and all the races of the earth. For example, as I read in the first chapter of the book of Genesis, it states in chapter 1, verse 14, "And Yahweh said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." See, there are many reasons for them, but especially what we're after today, for the days and the years of time. Celestial. Now, these subcycles of celestial influence are further and more fully elaborated by the heavenly lore in the rule of the seven archangels, Raphael, Gabriel, the seven archangels, who receive their orders before the great throne of Yahweh, and who also say, after Yahweh actuates the universe.